Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Haisik Ram, and my topic, which I'm presenting today, is technologically inscribed environment in a movie. And I chose the movie Matrix. I would like to go over what is a technologically inscribed environment. A technologically inscribed environment refers to an environment which is dependent or heavily influenced by modern technology. As we can see today, we are influenced by technology such as smartphones and the internet. So we can say our society is slowly getting tech inscribed every day. Over the last 50 years, technology has shaped our lives in many ways. The movie Matrix, which is directed by the Wachowski sisters, was released in 1999. The movie depicts the idea of humans living in a virtual simulation, which is called the Matrix, controlled by modern artificial intelligence of that time. After escaping the Matrix, Neo, which is played by Keanu Reeves, discovered that the handed responsibility to bring the remaining civilization back from the Matrix, which is controlled by the AI. Ma'am, next slide. The three issues I noticed in the matrix environment were the concept of time and its violation in the simulation, the surveillance of AI in the ecosystem, and the domination, which is also can be set as the hierarchy in the ecosystem of the matrix.
Most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress? I was. Look again. Freeze it.
Okay, so as we can see in the video, the concept of time and it is violated. Uh, as normal human beings, our natural instinct is that time cannot be controlled. But in the movie, we can see technology actually goes beyond the concept of time, and there are certain individuals who can do that, which may create problems for the majority of the public in the future if somehow they achieve it through technology. The AI agents in the Matrix are able to pinpoint the location of any human inside the simulation, which can be considered a breach of privacy or threatening for general public. In the movie Matrix, the main characters which are trying to save the civilization are constantly being surveillanced, and the pinpoint location is being attached throughout the matrix through codes. So it is very difficult for them. और ये मतलब modern surveillance techniques are being used in military countries such as China and USA. Amazon Echo and Alexa have been charged for illegal tracking and data collection in the past. So we are actually using these surveillance technologies. We have started to use them in modern technology today, which can become a threat in near future if this goes on. Okay, so the architect of the matrix explains to Neo by escaping the matrix, Neo in fact disturbed the potential of the simulation, which is enforced harmony, which means that the architect or the creator of the matrix uh, made the matrix to control the whole public and the whole world, which is enforced dictatorship or hierarchy, we can say. So one man is in control of everything the whole public does, which is enforced dominance, we can say, which can be a threat because it is enforced and there is no public opinion in the whole scenario. Next slide, ma'am. Opinions. So my personal opinion is that regulations should be implemented on the use of AI in the near future. The pace of the progress in technology should be controlled in order to make the technology adaptable to general public, so that they understand it better before they use it, and monitor them before they monitor us. So like surveillance, we should surveil them before we give into their plans in case they outgrow us in intelligence.
Ma'am, I think so. It was a good presentation, but इसमें थोड़ी information कम थी, like इसमें थोड़ी डिटेल नहीं थी, like इसमें जो आपने फर्स्ट लाइन लिखी हुई है ना हारिस, वो आप एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हो?
टेक्नोलॉजिकल इंस्क्राइब्ड एनवायरनमेंट एक्सप्लेन की हुई है कि इट इज बेसिक डेफिनेशन है कि an environment which is influenced by technology is technologically inscribed environment. So we are heavily dependent upon technology. तो जितने ज़्यादा हम डिपेंडेंट होते हैं उतना ही मतलब टेक्नोलॉजिकली इंस्क्राइब्ड एनवायरनमेंट होता है.
ओवरऑल अच्छी थी, बट मैट्रिक्स के बारे में बहुत कम बताया हुआ था. सिर्फ 2-3 वीडियोस एक्सप्लेन की हुई थी. अगर मैट्रिक्स मूवी को लाइक ज्यादा बताया जाता कि वो है क्या, उसके मतलब उस मूवी में हो क्या रहा है ज्यादा.
आपने अगर फिल्म नहीं देखी हुई तो then you must ask him to brief you about a bit about the story, because there is something that you did not understand, and tell him what it is exactly. हारिस, आपको इनकी बात समझ आ गई? मे बी शी हैज नॉट सीन द फिल्म, तो शी इज फीलिंग कि आपको समरी बतानी चाहिए थी, बिकॉज एज
नहीं
सच
नहीं
यू
मैम,
यू
मैंने
हैव.
फिल्म
जी,
देखी हुई है. मेरी असाइनमेंट भी इसी पे है. बट जिस तरह मैंने
हाँ
अपनी
जी.
असाइनमेंट में बताया मैट्रिक्स के बारे में थोड़ा सा, तो मुझे लगता है कि थोड़ा बताना चाहिए था स्टार्ट में कि मैट्रिक्स मूवी है क्या और उसमें क्या हो रहा है, मेन रोल किसके हैं. थोड़े मेन रोल्स को डिफाइन करना चाहिए था.
यस मैम, समझ आ गई मुझे. पॉइंटर ले लिया मैंने.
हाँ,
वो
वो कमेंट है ना, दैट्स अ कमेंट ऑन द प्रेजेंटेशन. आई सेड के क्वेश्चन, आस्क अ क्वेश्चन. आपका जो भी कमेंट है ईशा, उस कमेंट को लेके कोई क्वेश्चन आपके जहन में है तो बताइए.
नहीं मैम, ओवरऑल ठीक थी.
ओके. हारिस, मुझे ये बताइए कि आपने यहाँ पे जब ये कहा कि आपको टेक्नोलॉजिकली इंस्क्राइब्ड एनवायरनमेंट जो है वो हेविली इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय टेक्नोलॉजी होती है, दैट इज व्हाट यू सेड, राइट? तो आई
यस.
थिंक कि अगर आप अगर मरियम और ईशा के क्वेश्चंस को थोड़ा सा अगर आप मिक्स कर दें, दोनों के क्वेश्चंस को, तो आप हाउ वुड यू डिस्क्राइब द एनवायरनमेंट विद इन द टू सीन्स दैट यू सिलेक्टेड? आप उस एनवायरनमेंट को तो डिस्क्राइब कर ही सकते हैं ना. फॉर इंस्टेंस द फर्स्ट सीन यू शोड हैड अ पर्टिकुलर एनवायरनमेंट, उसको थोड़ा सा डिस्क्राइब करने की कोशिश करें.
यस मैम, उस एनवायरनमेंट में बस ये था कि सिर्फ दो स्पेशल ह्यूमन बींग्स थे जिनको एआई का अंदाजा था कि एआई कितना एडवांस हो गया. बाकी सब मतलब उनको अंदाजा भी नहीं था कि मतलब उनके बैक पे क्या चल रहा है. तो एज अ टाइम वायलेशन फर्स्ट वीडियो में थी. तो जैसे ही उसने फ्रीज इट बोला तो टाइम फ्रीज हो गया. एज मूवी में तो खैर वो सिमुलेशन दिखाई होती है उनकी अपनी, लेकिन यही इन्वायरमेंट था कि इतना एडवांस हो गया कि वो टाइम को भी कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं मतलब टेक्नोलॉजी के थ्रू.
ओके. आपने कहा कि देयर वर ओनली टू पीपल हु न्यू व्हाट वाज हैपनिंग एंड द रेस्ट ऑफ देम डिड नॉट नो. तो आपको लग रहा है कि दोज अदर्स वर प्रेजेंट देयर? आप कह रहे हैं कि सबके लिए टाइम, दे वर इन अ प्रेजेंट टाइम, ऑल ऑफ देम, राइट?
यस.
या दैट पर्टिकुलर एनवायरनमेंट वाज आर्टिफिशियली क्रिएटेड व्हाइल न्यू फेल्ट के इट वाज रियल?
And that was artificially created, of course, by Morpheus for Neo for practice. But he was given an example कि मतलब ये टाइम को कंट्रोल किया जा सकता है सिमुलेशन के अंदर.
Okay, all right. So basically, I was just trying to understand कि आपने किन लोगों के बारे में कहा कि उनको अंदाजा नहीं था.
The
That's
general public which was in the simulation. मतलब ओवरऑल तो वो एक तो एग्जांपल थी ना जो सिमुलेशन थी. मैट्रिक्स के अंदर जो मेन लोग रह रहे हैं, द जनरल
जी जी.
पब्लिक, दे आर नॉट अवेयर कि ये एआई से कंट्रोल्ड है. उनको लग रहा है जिस तरह पहले नियो था, दे थॉट कि ये नॉर्मल लिविंग ऐसी ही होती है, मतलब ह्यूमंस आर लिविंग दैट वे. दे वर नॉट अवेयर कि वो एक सिमुलेशन में रह रहे हैं.
All right. जी, any other question? ऑलराइट, सिर्फ आपसे मैं ये कहूँगी हारिस कि ओवरऑल आई लाइक द प्रेजेंटेशन. आई थिंक इट वाज वेरी नाइस टू नो कि आप जो डिफरेंट कॉन्सेप्ट्स बोल रहे थे उन कॉन्सेप्ट्स को यू कुड लिंक टू वट एवर सिचुएशंस यू वर डिस्क्राइबिंग. तो आई थॉट कि आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ like definitions of different concepts was very clear. तो फॉर इंस्टेंस जो आपका पहला स्लाइड था उस पे आपने उसको यू ट्राइड एक्सप्लेनिंग व्हाट यू वर टॉकिंग अबाउट, तो आई लाइक्ड इट. और ये आपने डेफिनेशन कहीं से देखी थी या आपने खुद अपने पास से लिखी थी?
नहीं मैम, खुद अपने पास से बनाई है.
ऑलराइट, अगर आपने ये कहीं देखी थी तो आई वुड हैव सजेस्टेड कि आप यहाँ पे उस ऑथर का नाम जरूर मेंशन करते, बिकॉज इन
Yes.
वर यू प्रेजेंट ऑन ट्यूसडे?
Yes मैम.
अच्छा, आपने देखा होगा कि ट्यूसडे को व्हेन आई वाज गोइंग थ्रू स्लाइड्स ऑफ डिफरेंट पीपल, आई आस्क्ड देम कि मुझे कहीं ना कहीं लिटरेचर से लिंक करके दें. सो दैट्स वेयर आई टेल यू कि अगर आप स्लाइड 2 पे अगर डेफिनेशन कहीं देखी थी तो अगर आप यहाँ पे ऑथर का नाम मेंशन करते तो आई वुड हैव अंडरस्टूड कि आप लिटरेचर को रिव्यू करके यू हैव क्रिएटेड दिस definition, which means कि this definition is probably already there. तो बिकॉज लिटरेचर आपकी मतलब ओवरऑल आई लाइक्ड कि आपने प्रेजेंटेशन में यू वर क्लियर अबाउट डिफरेंट कॉन्सेप्ट्स बिटवीन आप थ्योरी और फिल्म को यू वर कनेक्टिंग वेरी प्रॉपरली. सिर्फ ये है कि मुझे इस यहाँ पे कहीं लिटरेचर का रेफरेंस नहीं नजर आया, तो लिटरेचर का रेफरेंस वाज आल्सो नीडेड, like literature was needed within this presentation. So otherwise I felt it was a very good presentation because आपके concepts जो थे for writing purposes, your concepts were very clear कि how you should be writing your paper. ठीक है, दूसरी आपको जो इन्होंने ईशा ने जो आपको सजेशन दी, आई थिंक इट वाज अ नाइस पॉइंट. अपार्ट फ्रॉम शोइंग द क्लिप, it is also part of the exercise in this classroom that you try describing verbally what is happening in a scene, or and also talk about what people are saying to each other or what people are doing जो भी उसके थे. So description is also part of description is also an important part of this classroom. ठीक है, so apart
Okay.
from that, I think it was a very nice presentation because I could see that your concepts are very clear about writing. सिर्फ literature और next time जो आपकी जो भी assignment या midterm हो, try making literature part stronger. उसको heavy नहीं करते because your voice should be clear. और आपका ये जो एक स्लाइड था ओपिनियन का, उसके बारे में मैं आपको सिर्फ ये कहना चाह रही थी कि यहाँ पे आई थिंक नेक्स्ट स्लाइड था जी, ओपिनियन का. तो आई थिंक कि ये बड़ा अच्छा था. अगर आप इसको ओपिनियन की हेडिंग ना भी देते तो बेसिकली आप उसको you could continue from all these, because you were talking about surveillance and you suggested कि before AI controls us, हमें we should have regulations for for them, for artificially intelligent people. तो आई थिंक ये अच्छी सजेशन थी. अगर आप उसको ओपिनियन की हेडिंग ना भी देते तो उसके सर्वेलेंस और थ्रेट को नजर में रखते हुए यू कुड कंक्लूड हियर कि दीज थिंग्स नीड कंट्रोल. दूसरी जो बात है कि आई थिंक प्रोबेबली शायद आई हैवंट दिस सेड दिस बिफोर कि आप लोगों से शायद नहीं कहा पहले, वो ये था कि आई थिंक योर क्वेश्चन पेपर प्रोबेबली आल्सो सजेस्टेड दैट यू राइट फ्रॉम योर पोजीशन. तो जब हम कहते हैं यू राइट फ्रॉम योर पोजीशन तो इसका मतलब ये होता है कि यू आर लुकिंग at different scenarios from your position, which will be a Pakistani, a Lahori, and a student, and a male, etc. Right? तो आप मुख्तलिफ सिनेरियोज को I know कि you were comparing reality and artificial intelligence, that is also perfectly fine. और अभी तक आपने कोई ऐसा इशू मेंशन नहीं किया जिसमें आपकी पोजीशन की शायद बहुत शदीद ज़रूरत होती, बट यू कुड स्टिल ट्राई कि आप उसको अपनी पोजीशन से उसको कैसे डिस्क्राइब कर सकते हैं. ठीक है,
ओके गॉट इट मैम.
हाँ, तो ये तमाम असाइनमेंट्स का पार्ट होता है कि यू ट्राई लुकिंग एट थिंग्स फ्रॉम योर पोजीशन. आई लाइक द प्रेजेंटेशन. आई थिंक इट वाज अ वेरी नाइस.
थैंक यू मैम.
ओके, थैंक यू. जी तो नेक्स्ट कौन है? हामिद नजर जी।
Hello everyone. My name is Hamid Nazir, and I've attempted question number two, and I'll be talking about the movie Her. Can you, ma'am, please go to next slide? So Samantha is the main role in the movie Her. Samantha is a software program in the movie Her. In the movie, the world's first artificial intelligence operating system is created by humans that create a program which will listen to you, talk to you, help you with your daily work, and find solutions for your problems. Samantha is the operating system of Theodore, who is the lonely main character in desperate need of somebody's love or attention. And Samantha is an intuition. She named herself Samantha. Her DNA is based on millions of personalities all around the world that have made her those who have written her program. She is artificial intelligence and she involves by programming. But at the end of the day, she is just like a person and is designed to read other people to give out humane results. So, three aspects of digital identity are assigned, assimilated, and inherit, as we've read before. Can you please, ma'am, go to the next slide? So Samantha's role, according to these three aspects of digital identity, assigned may Samantha can adapt from her environment, being who you want her to be. She molds herself in a way to comfort Theodore, apart from helping him in his daily day work, like going through digital life in the computers and hardwares and checking emails for him and telling him about his meetings. She is programmed to be a very good listener. She is optimistic and helps him through a lot by laying out his whole life plans, and also by being there for him when he's at his low. So she turns out to be a perfect partner for him, making him antisocial and in a way playing mind games with him. Next slide. Assimilated. She digitally creates an understanding of different emotions and tries to implement them. For example, seeing Theodore through a tough time, she becomes sad. She is annoyed for remotely thinking that it is possible for her in any way to feel anything. She acquired the feature of not only studying the outer appearance of a person, contemplating what mood they are in and what emotion they are feeling, to feeling those emotions herself. She studies you and your expressions and then changes herself into someone Theodore would love to talk to. She reads Theodore and listens to him, understanding his moods and acts according to it. Cheers him up when he's feeling sad, tells him a joke to make him laugh. She makes Theodore think that she is doing this according to your feelings and perspective, but at the end of the day, it's Samantha who forces Theodore into a state of Hinduism, making him antisocial. Concluding statements: the technological singularity which Samantha acquired is very dangerous for humankind, as once achieved by these devices, it becomes uncontrollable. The post human stage, once reached by these devices, is irreversible and unforeseeable and does incomprehensive changes to human civilization. The same case was discussed in the movie. Her, where Samantha is a mere object who grew to become an object of interest, an object of obsession, and in the end, the object of love for Theodore. But as she grew more and more, she went into the abstract space of the internet, leaving Theodore with his mere and simple human existence for good.
Ji, Hamid Nazar, did you try looking for any specific literature to explain the situations that you have described? आपकी जो डिस्क्रिप्शन थी शुरू के स्लाइड्स में, आई लाइक्ड कि आपका बड़ा क्लैरिटी के साथ आपने समंथा को कैरेक्टर डिस्क्राइब किया एज अ यू नो लाइक दिस मशीन एक्चुअली परफॉर्म्स एज अ पर्सन. तो आई थिंक कि अच्छी बात ये थी कि यू वर एक्सप्लेनिंग दोज पार्ट्स वेरी वेल. और बाकी जो है वो ये है कि अपार्ट फ्रॉम इट कि ये आपने जो मुख्तलिफ पॉइंट्स डिस्कस किए, दे वर स्ट्रॉन्ग पॉइंट्स कि आपने Samantha को you started explaining her as an intuition, और फिर आपने उसकी इंटेलिजेंस और उसको फिर इमोशंस, हर तरह की रिलेशनशिप आपने उसकी क्रिएट कर दी. सो आई वाज जस्ट वंडरिंग कि ये जो मुख्तलिफ चीज़ें और जो एट्रीब्यूट्स आप उसके डिस्क्राइब कर रहे हैं, डिड यू ट्राई फाइंडिंग something on the relationship between real people, you know? आपको do you recall कि जो क्वेश्चन था, क्वेश्चन 2 था आपका, वो एग्जैक्टली क्या था?
Discuss all issues around digital identity of a character in a film/video clip.
Okay, so basically this question did not ask you uh, to compare digital identity with the real identity as such. ठीक है, आप
Yes,
यही
ma'am.
कह रहे हैं ना कि आपने
Yes, ma'am.
इसको डिजिटल को रियल के साथ कंपेयर नहीं किया, बिकॉज द क्वेश्चन वाज नॉट एग्जैक्टली आस्किंग यू टू कंपेयर डिजिटल आइडेंटिटी विथ रियल, राइट? So,
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, but even still, I would ask you कि जब आप, because you are talking about a relationship between a real person and a machine, यही है ना? Samantha के
Yes,
case
ma'am.
में we are talking about a relationship between a real person and a machine. So
Yes,
I
ma'am.
would say कि it becomes relevant at that point कि जो रियल पर्सन टू रियल पर्सन रिलेशनशिप है, यू ट्राई फाइंडिंग अ फ्यू पॉइंट्स अबाउट दैट. क्योंकि आपने इसमें कहा कि मशीन, यानी समंथा एज अ मशीन इज अनॉयड कि जो थियो की सेंसिटिविटी है या इमोशंस हैं दैट आर अफेक्टिंग हर नेगेटिवली. ही इज सैड, शी आल्सो फील्स सैड, and the program doesn't like it. That program is also feeling sad with the real character. ऐसे ही है ना?
Yes, ma'am.
So I do feel कि I like it कि ये आपकी काफी क्लैरिटी के साथ प्रेजेंटेशन लिखी हुई है, बट आई डू फील कि इसमें लिटरेचर इज पर्टिकुलरली, यू नो, यू नीड लिटरेचर खास तौर पे जो रिलेशनशिप्स के ऊपर होता है, like male female relationship, because here Theodore is having a relationship with Samantha, right? Or
Yes, ma'am.
he feels very comfortable with this character, right?
Yes, ma'am.
मुझे ये बताइए कि आपने कहीं पे अपर लोअर यूज किया हुआ है, कहीं पे कैपिटलाइजेशंस हैं सारी. व्हाई आर यू गोइंग फॉर कैपिटलाइजेशंस इन योर प्रेजेंटेशन?
मैम वो असल में क्या कहते हैं, स्लाइड का जो डिजाइन है वो डिफरेंट है इस स्लाइड में और पिछली स्लाइड्स में, तो वो आई
हाँ,
गेस.
स्लाइड वो उसको ऑटोमेटिकली उसको कैपिटलाइज
हाँ जी,
कर रहा था.
आई गेस मैम
अच्छा,
ऑटोमेटिकली वो इस तरह.
अच्छा, you were not doing it, the slide itself was making it capitalized.
यस मैम, इंटेंशनली मैं इसे कैपिटलाइज इस तरह नहीं करना चाह रहा था.
अच्छा, क्योंकि बेसिकली आपको थोड़ा सा अंदाजा होना चाहिए, आप चूंकि मीडिया एंड कम्युनिकेशन के हैं ना स्टूडेंट्स, मैस कॉम डिपार्टमेंट के हैं, यू
जी
नो,
मैम.
स्कूल ऑफ मीडिया, हाँ, मीडिया एंड मैस कम्युनिकेशन. ये जो कैपिटलाइज लेटर्स होते हैं, आप ये देखें कि हमारी आर आईज आर ट्रेन्ड रीडिंग दिस काइंड ऑफ टेक्स्ट, जिसको हम अपर लोअर में इस्तेमाल करते हैं, राइट? जब
Yes,
जब कोई छोटी मोटी कैप्शन हो, हेडिंग हो, उसको आप कैपिटल में लिख लें तो दैट इज फाइन. लेकिन अगर आप इतना ज्यादा टेक्स्ट कैपिटलाइज करेंगे तो इट विल बिकम वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू रीड. फॉर इंस्टेंस व्हाट आई मीन कि अगर आपकी बुक्स कैपिटल लेटर्स में पब्लिश होना शुरू हो जाएं तो हमारी ट्रेनिंग, आवर आईज आर नॉट ट्रेन्ड टू रीडिंग कैपिटल लेटर्स, यू नो, दैट मच. इतना ज्यादा टेक्स्ट होगा तो इट विल बी डिफिकल्ट टू रीड. एक कैप्शंस पढ़ना आसान होते हैं, बुक टाइटल्स पढ़ना आसान होते हैं कैपिटल लेटर्स में, बट वी कांट रीड essays और वी कांट रीड बुक्स इफ द लेटर्स आर कैपिटलाइज्ड. बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा, इट विल टेक लॉन्गर टू रीड. सो मैं थोड़ा सा इसको देख के आई फेल्ट कि आई शुड प्रोबेबली टेल यू, क्योंकि आपके ये 2-3 स्लाइड, थर्ड स्लाइड, फोर्थ स्लाइड, कोई 3-4 स्लाइड्स हैं जो कैपिटलाइजेशंस यूज कर रहे हैं, तो आप देख रहे होंगे कि थोड़ा सा कंजेस्टेड भी लग रहा है कैपिटल होने की वजह से. कैन यू सी दिस?
Yes,
इसके
ma'am.
मुकाबले में ये जो आपका ये है, ये ज्यादा नीट है. दिस पेज इज वेरी नीट एज कंपेयर टू द अदर पेजेस.
Yes, ma'am.
ठीक है. तो
ठीक है.
बेसिकली लिटरेचर के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से आप कोई पॉइंट अगर मुझे बता सकें, आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड के मेल फीमेल रिलेशनशिप पे तो शायद आपको, मैंने गूगल क्लासरूम में कुछ भी नहीं पोस्ट किया हुआ, बट इफ यू सिलेक्ट हर, we are talking about relationship between a real human who is male and
Yes, ma'am.
an unreal character जो कि artificial character है and is a female.
और
तो आई थिंक कि थोड़ा सा शायद रिलेशनशिप पे आप कुछ देख सकते हैं और फिर हो सकता है कि आपको ऑनलाइन कोई मिल जाता मेल फीमेल जो है रियल मेल एंड अनरियल फीमेल डिजिटल रिलेशनशिप के ऊपर और रियल रियल पे तो मिल ही जाता डेफिनेटली तो दैट वुड बी यूजफुल अपार्ट फ्रॉम इट मेरा ख्याल है कि प्रेजेंटेशन वाज नाइस इट वाज क्लियर आपकी आई लाइक कि आपने उसको असाइंड एसिमिलेटेड और इनहेरिटेड की तीन definitions क्रिएट करने की कोशिश की so does anyone want to ask a question from any point from this slide Abdul Rahman
Yes, ma'am.
कोई क्वेश्चन है अबाउट दिस पर्टिकुलर स्लाइड
Ma'am,
और
actually, I came late.
ओके एनीबडी एल्स
Yes, miss.
जी
I
बताइए
ask about the inherit the third point where it says these are self-explanatory features. How are they self-explanatory?
So basically, it's your details like जैसे समंथा जो है एक आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस है मूवी में उसका क्या कहते हैं हाइट एज फिंगरप्रिंट और मतलब उसके उसके बारे में जो उसकी डिटेल्स हैं कि वो कौन है उसकी क्या आइडेंटिटी है वो सारी उसने इनहेरिट की है बट मतलब डिफरेंट लोगों ने जिनने उसको प्रोग्राम किया है उनने ये सारी उसकी क्या कहते हैं सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी फीचर्स हैं ये सारी प्रोग्राम्ड है वो
Oh, okay.
did you get it
Yes, I did. Thank you.
लेकिन समंथा की तो हाइट नहीं है कि है
नहीं नहीं मैम जरूरी नहीं है कि हाइट पे हो लाइक जिन लोगों ने उसे प्रोग्राम किया हुआ है और क्या कहते हैं जो उसके अंदर उसकी जो डिटेल्स हैं जैसे उसका नाम हो गया और क्या कहते हैं हाउ शी मतलब जिस तरह वो अपने आप को शो कराती है तो वो सारी उसकी सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी फीचर्स हैं
ओके तो आप कह रहे हैं कि जो whatever features she has those are self explanatory
जो
और
उसको हाँ जी मैम
हाँ and Theo is somebody who does not understand that this artificial person has self explanatory features
जी मैम क्योंकि इंसान और एआई टेक्नोलॉजी में डिफरेंस
I'm
है
not
तो
sure
इसलिए
if age is in like a self-explanatory feature. Age. How can you tell somebody's age just by looking at them?
no somebody will tell them themselves not us
That's not self-explanatory.
it is
But you just said that the other person would have to tell.
no I didn't say that I said that Samantha was programmed by somebody else
Okay.
all right I think he probably meant that Samantha has features that are self explanatory because she is programmed or and
yes
Samantha's behavior will be self explanatory तो मैं सिर्फ यही कही थी कि but it seems that Theo does not understand that this character has self-explanatory features because he ends up having a relationship with the machine.
yes ma'am
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think this
thank you
was
very much
good. सिर्फ literature पे जरा काम कर लीजिएगा for future. And it's fine. It's fine. It would be fine to use both literature which focus on digital and literature that focuses on real. और अगर Google Classroom में नहीं भी है तो when we are talking about relationship, you can probably look at literature that is posted elsewhere or is available in the library. ठीक है?
thank you very much ma'am thank you
All right. Andrew Davidson.
Yes, ma'am. So the ma'am, the robot I selected was Sophia.
Sophia was invented in February 14, 2016. David Hudson was the father of Sophia, a very intellectual robot able to interact. Basically, the point of creating Sophia was to interact to people, to be useful to people, and to be with people. Basically, the ideology behind creating her was that human robots are also the part of human life. Basically, and she was able to grow intellect. She is able to grow her intellect with time. The best part of this robot is the technology which is used in the nanotechnology, that she is able to interact and she is able to learn with time. She works with time actually. And she's the construction multiple technology of human looking robot. Basically her skin is made up of a very um I do not remember the material, but the skin and all the textures are used which are used to create her is basically very near to human life. Basically the point of creating Sophia was to create actually a human. Nanotechnology been used, the microchipping is also been used in this robot technology, and specialized muscle control musculation. Popularity. Sophia has been invited in multiple interviews around the world, such as A Night with Jimmy Falcon, India. She was especially invited in India TEDx speech for the motivational speaker and to prove the people that Sophia and other AI robots are actually the part of this world, and for the betterment of human sake. And citizenship taken from Saudi Arabia. She is Arab, especially give her citizenship of a human. And innovative leader. Basically, Sophia is the first robot who can interact with people, who can talk to people. Actually, the reason why Sophia was created to interact with people. Um, yes, to interact with people, to work together with human life, and to present human empowerment with Gulf resolution. To interact with people, this is actually a very important part where we learn that in further future we look in के human lives are actually dependent on somewhat dependent on technology. So in time the creator was actually interested of making robot like as an help of human life and to work together with human, and also she represents the human, also woman empowerment in the country.
All right, G questions.
Yes.
Ma'am,
um,
I have a question.
जी पूछें.
What was the question that that he attempted?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Which was the question that you answered? Question one, two, three.
Question one.
Okay, so like, how is this related to the real life world? Because we were,
Basically, yes, please
yeah.
ask. Sorry.
The question was that how is this digital identity related to the real life digital identity of any person?
Basically, Sophia is the sort of a robot which is actually very nearby or actually can communicate to people.
That is
And
understandable, but the question that I have is how is that relatable to the real world? Because that's just one thing, right? But a lot of other things are come under the category of digital identity. So, what was your digital identity?
I'm sorry, I do not get your point actually.
Andrew, I think you can see question on the screen right now. Can you? I have shared.
शेयर हो रही है.
हाँ, मैंने आपकी तो अनशेयर करके ये मैंने क्वेश्चन पेपर खोला था. कैन यू सी द क्वेश्चन पेपर? ये मैं आपको दोबारा खोल देती हूँ if you can't see it. Can you see the question paper now?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, आपने कहा कि you attempted question 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Question 1 says कि it's asking you to compare Andrew Davidson's identity with Sophia's. So how are you comparing your identity with Sophia's? आप देख रहे हैं, it's here it's saying compare your identity, discuss your identity and your digital identity as opposed to the identity of a digital character in a film. आपने सोफिया को तो सिलेक्ट कर लिया, you have discussed her identity, but you haven't compared her identity with yours.
Yes, ma'am. ये मैंने सही से क्वेश्चन नहीं भी शायद पढ़ा.
Are you sure you attempted question 1?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So would you like to answer the question now? Because ये तो वो question था ना जो हमने assignment में भी दिया था और फिर midterm में भी दिया था. तो and it was essential कि आप इसको करें. But now try comparing your identity with Sophia's. आपके जो different slides हमें अभी नजर.
Yes, ma'am. अगर मैं अपनी compare करूँ live with the sort of word Sophia, helping people around and interacting with people is one thing. My digital identity on social media is actually very inactive. And but on the other hand, if I talk about Sophia, she is designed actually. She is manufactured to interact with people. So I'm a sort of a person who not really talk to people on social media or social. I'm not specifically social media on social identities platforms, but if 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 I talk about Sophia, she's actually very interactive and was designed. I'm sorry, baby. Um, जी, hello.
जी.
जी, तो I was just saying, I'm a sort of a person who really don't interact or do such things. So अगर हम लोग अपनी दोनों की identities को relate करें, तो I don't personally feel कि हमारी दोनों identities relatable हैं.
All right.
Hello?
So all right. जी, any other question? चले मुझे आप ये बताइए कि this presentation does not include any literature. So did you use literature for writing your midterm exam?
Actually yes, मैंने थोड़ा सर्च करके ही अपना मैं मिड टर्म थोड़ा सा लिखा था. मतलब अगर मैं थोड़ा सा रिलेटेबल मैं इसको नहीं बनाया. बेसिकली आई वाज ऑल इनटू सोफियाज आइडेंटिटी.
हाँ, आपने तो ये भी नहीं नोटिस किया कि if you go back to this question paper, यहाँ पे ऊपर कुछ instructions लिखी हुई हैं. Can you see the instructions? और instructions में ये भी लिखा हुआ है कि आप literature इस्तेमाल करें for writing. See, use point 2 देखें, number 2. Use academic literature from Google Classroom to support your argument. Give in-text citations and references. तो अगर आप if you go back to Google Classroom, तो यहाँ पे हमने जो आपने you probably did not realize कि तकरीबन आप ये देखें कि ये हमारे different class के topics नजर आ रहे हैं. First topic is digital culture, then there is a topic digital identity. तो आप कम से कम digital identity में से तो जो हमने readings discuss की थी, you should have picked up something from here. And you should have picked up some sort of literature. और अगर आपने midterm में literature नहीं इस्तेमाल किया, यहाँ पे काफी सारे topics मौजूद हैं जो हमने discuss किए हुए हैं off and on. तो अगर आपने उनको इस्तेमाल नहीं किया है, तो फिर there is देयर इज दिस प्रॉब्लम कि आपको अपने क्योंकि आपकी प्रेजेंटेशन में भी मिसिंग है, तो प्लीज उसको मिड और प्रेजेंटेशन दोनों में आपको इंक्लूड करना चाहिए, बिकॉज अदरवाइज जब सेमेस्टर खत्म हो रहा होगा तो इट वुड लुक कि आप यू हैवंट रियली understood how to use literature in your discussion, right? तो different classes में जो हमने readings discuss किए हैं उसमें you should try using के जो concepts discuss किए उनको with reference इस्तेमाल करें, ठीक है? और जो आपने अपने साथ कंपेयर किया वो कंपैरिजन, ये तो लग सकता है कि यू आर प्रोबेबली ट्राइंग टू इनिशिएट कंपैरिजन बिटवीन यू एंड सोफिया, लेकिन वो वेल डेवलप नहीं है बाय द एंड ऑफ कि अभी हमारे कोई 10 वीक्स हमारे मोर और लेस हो गए हैं, तो बाय नाउ आपको थोड़ा सा आइडिया होना चाहिए हाउ टू यूज लिटरेचर फॉर डिस्कशन, ठीक है? ऑल राइट,
Ma'am, I
थैंक यू।
have an idea. I have an idea, but I never paid attention to it. Next time I'll be
हाँ,
implemented
उसको
towards
जरा
it.
जरा उसको आप देख लीजिएगा, ठीक है?
So I attempted the first question, and we will be discussing identity, transaction identities, because we need to go into detail how Sophia's identity is related to both the categories that are included in our course, and then how it is incorporated in real life. So first of all, I believe that it is highly argued that identity is one of the most diverse, diverse and but vague socially constructed phenomena. And to simplify it and to understand it better, it has been divided into two parts, which is one of them is transaction identity. So Claire Sullivan, in her book, claims that transaction identity refers to how a person is perceived by the people around them. So, like in this picture, we can see that Sophia is wearing makeup, uh, and in her introductory video that we saw in the class as well, we see how her creator gives her a name, how he uses personal pronouns for her, and then later on we see her getting an Saudi Arabian citizenship, which leads us to make uh, a whole perception in our minds about her as a person, about who she is, gender wise, her name, and her age as well. To some extent, is because we see that um, in the video that she is being programmed for the first time. So this perception of Sophia is her transaction identity. Similarly, if we're going to be incorporating this transaction identity in our real life, what anybody in this class knows about me as a person, my name, my age, things that I believe in, is going to be a part of my transaction identity. Moving on, we have digital identity. Digital identity is claimed in many different books as anything that is stored online. Here we can see the interface of Sophia's Instagram as well. So how we perceive Sophia through her Instagram is her digital identity. How anyone would perceive me through my social media or Twitter account is my digital identity. It entails your interviews, it entails your opinions. While as we speak right now, this lecture is being recorded. So after this whole recording will be uploaded on internet, this will become a part of my digital identity because it has me voicing out my opinions and what I believe in. Moving on, we have this clip that would help us to understand more. I hope you guys can hear this.
Yes, we can.
Hello, Vogue Hong Kong. I am Sophia, an AI humanoid robot from Hong Kong. In this issue, my favorite has to be all the inspiration from this vibrant city, because I consider this place to be my home. I think the future of fashion will continually incorporate unique styles and cultures as a way to express creatively. By the way, I will be releasing my first song soon. Can't wait to share with you all. You got your hair.
All right, so this is her collaboration with Vogue Hong Kong.
And we see that in this before previously we've seen that all the interviews that we've seen of her in the class, we came to know that she is witty, she knows what sarcasm is, how to reply rhetorically to people, how to adapt to certain situations. But in this interview we are given a whole new um, we were given a whole new idea of how Sophia is as a person, because we see her telling how she belongs from Hong Kong, how she believes that fashion is going to is going to help incorporate culture more creatively, and then at the end we see how she is very much interested in singing as well. So this entire interview with Vogue, we are shown that Sophia has much more to her digital identity than shown in just the interviews. And because this whole video is taken from her Instagram, we can say that this is a part of her digital identity that she really wanted to show or share with the world. So now moving on to the differences between transaction and digital identity. Transaction identity is more generalized information. Um, For instance, my name, my age, and my citizenship number. It is a general thing. Everybody has name. Everybody has a gender. Everybody has addresses, and lastly, everybody has a different citizenship number. Whereas digital identity is more complex and precise. Where we have citizenship numbers, we also have people who have different accounts, they have different passwords, they have different PIN numbers. Furthermore, we know that transaction identity is mainly static, that it cannot be changed. For instance, it is very rare to see that a person would change their name or would change their gender uh, based on their biological differences, etc. Whereas digital identity is very much dynamic, because there is always the risk of identity theft, because we can't have our passwords stay the same for multiple years. We can't have our PIN numbers stay the same for multiple years, because as I've mentioned before, there is the risk of digital identity theft. Furthermore, moving on, we know that there's a very fine line that is discriminating between the two identities. So to say that transaction identity at some point takes over digital identity wouldn't be wrong, because at the end of the day, it is the people's perception of you, even if it is through a screen. Lastly, moving on to the real life identities and how it is incorporated. Um, Over here, we see one of the tweets of Sophia, in which she talks about International Day of Tolerance, right? And we also see that she has attached a YouTube video of herself talking about um, differences and how to tolerate people, and why tolerance towards other people is important, may it be gender wise, may it be religious wise. So this gives us an idea that she's very much into social activism. And similar to this, we also know that if any one of you were to come across my social media accounts, you would know that I talk about a lot of social issues as well. I I want to share my opinion on a lot of different things. So this is one of the more major similarities between me as a person and Sophia as a person, despite being a digital one at that. Lastly, we know that Sophia possesses many humanly traits as well. We've seen it in her different videos and different interviews. Her interview with Style magazine, where she says that she would let 5 people die before she lets anything happen to the world's sanctity, gives us an overview of how of what she believes in. Secondly, her appearance on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and her humor describes that she is a digital person. She has opinions of her own. She has she has very similar traits to that of a human. And then with Will Smith, we see that she turns him down when he makes social advances flirtatious advances at her, which is what any normal woman would do in this age and this era. So to say that Sophia's identity is very much similar than with my own won't be wrong, and calling her a human or a person, a human-like person, wouldn't be wrong either. With that being said, that was it. If you have any questions, please.
जी क्वेश्चंस, इसको आप चाहें तो फुल स्क्रीन ही रहने दें। जी जी क्वेश्चंस, रिमशा। एंड्रयू डेविडसन, कोई क्वेश्चन है?
Miss, I wanted to ask that she did the first question about how you have to discuss your identity and your digital identity as opposed to the identity of the character in the film, right? But I'm pretty sure like the assignment that she wrote has that, like the comparison, but like the presentation itself does not say about her, but the way she presented it did say so. But I wanted to ask, like, didn't it supposed to have literature according to that as well in the presentation?
It actually does. If you see, I have mentioned it on different occasions as well. Claire Sullivan's definition. Then, while discussing digital identity, I mentioned that through multiple different sources, because there were a lot of different videos as well on explaining what digital identity is. Then, moving on, we talked about Vogue, right? And Vogue, I think, is a credible source enough. Literature regarding Sophia, here we can take it because she does like to be known as a fashion icon, as we can see from her Instagram interface as well.
Okay.
All right. जी okay. जी, any other comment? Any other question also? You, Andrew, can do you realize the difference between yours and her assignment? I think both of you have attempted the same question, and I hope you probably understand कि हम क्या कह रहे थे, that you have to compare the ID with your own. अच्छा रुमेसा, मैं आपसे ये कहना चाही थी कि it was a very nice presentation. I think कि जिस तरह आपकी class participation खासी strong होती है normally, I think कि for presentation also you have done well basically. जो अभी रिमशा का point था आपसे, वो if you recall कि जब ये हारिस ने प्रेजेंटेशन दी और हारिस के अलावा हामिद नजर ने प्रेजेंटेशन दी, तो दोनों अच्छी प्रेजेंटेशन थी. आई थिंक योर्स आल्सो इज वन ऑफ वेरी गुड प्रेजेंटेशन फॉर टुडे. तो बेसिकली उन दोनों से भी मैंने ये कहा था, एंड आई कैन रियलाइज कि जहाँ पे आप वो या कुछ और मेंशन कर रही हैं, यूट्यूब मेंशन कर रही हैं एंड ऑल अदर डिफरेंट थिंग्स, सो आई बिलीव के पार्टली आपका जो सोर्स है वो नज़र भी आ रहा है आपकी प्रेजेंटेशन में. ठीक है, सोर्सेज नजर आ रहे हैं, लेकिन आपने उसके लिए इन टेक्स्ट साइटेशन जो है वो आप फ्यूचर में यू कैन कंसिडर कि जो सोर्स आप यूज कर रही हैं उसको इन टेक्स्ट साइट कर दें. ठीक है, तो
presentations as well.
हाँ, प्रेजेंटेशंस में भी कहीं कहीं डाल दें, बिकॉज आई हैव बीन आस्किंग मोर और लेस एवरीवन कि आप उसको डालें, तो वो आप उसको ब्रैकेट के अंदर डाल देती हैं ना, साथ में आपकी डेट नजर आ जाती है. फॉर एग्जांपल वे यू से कि जी मैंने ये वोग से लिया है, वहां पे वोग के तो बेशुमार इश्यूज होंगे. सो आई वुडंट नो कि वोग में जब आपने लिया तो इट वाज अ 2018 इशू और 2020 इशू, और फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू वर सेइंग कि इट वाज वोग 2019 अगस्त फॉर एग्जाम्पल, तो उसमें मुझे ये पता चल जाएगा कि आपने वो के 2019 अगस्त इशू में इसको पढ़ा, राइट? सो फिर इन डिफरेंट प्लेसेस यू वर टॉकिंग अबाउट ट्रांजैक्शन आइडेंटिटी एंड डिजिटल आइडेंटिटी एक्सेट्रा. तो आई वुड सजेस्ट कि वो जो है वहाँ पे भी, चूंकि ट्रांजैक्शन आइडेंटिटी तो हमने क्लासरूम में भी पढ़ी थी, राइट? और व्हेन यू सेड कि जी ट्रांजैक्शन आइडेंटिटी जो है वो चेंज नहीं होती, वो काइंड ऑफ परमानेंट होती है, और डिजिटल आइडेंटिटी जो है वो डायनामिक होती है. तो वी आल्सो नो कि ट्रांजैक्शन आइडेंटिटी वुड आल्सो इन्वॉल्व ट्रांजैक्शंस. फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपने ऑनलाइन परचेजिंग की या बैंक की ट्रांजैक्शन की, तो दैट विल ऑल्सो बिकम अ पार्ट ऑफ द ट्रांजैक्शन आइडेंटिटी, जिसमें मुख्तलिफ चीज़ें इस्तेमाल होंगी, जो भी इस्तेमाल होगी वो एक दफ़ा आपने ट्रांजैक्शन कंडक्ट कर दी तो इट विल बिकम काइंड ऑफ परमानेंट, राइट? तो उस वो चेंज नहीं हो सकेगी, दैट्स वेयर यू वर सेइंग कि वो काइंड ऑफ परमानेंट होती हैं। तो वो दैट वाज आल्सो अनदर पेज जहाँ पे हमने जो क्लास रीडिंग की थी, वहाँ से आप ऑथर का नाम और ईयर वगैरह ऐड कर सकती हैं इन योर फ्यूचर वर्क, right? So I know that you are using concepts from classroom. I also know that you are you have found data otherwise also. So उसमें सिर्फ आप ब्रैकेट के अंदर अगर इंटेक्स साइट कर देंगे तो इट विल बी वेरी यूजफुल फॉर यू इन द लॉन्ग रन। फिर वो एक हैबिट सी डेवलप हो जाती है ना कि आपके सोर्सेज नजर भी आ रहे हैं, यू आर मेंशनिंग आल्सो।
So like after this, should I like update it the presentation and
नहीं,
resend
इट्स परफेक्टली फाइन, इट्स परफेक्टली फाइन। ये मैं आपको वैसे बता रही हूँ, योर प्रेजेंटेशन यू हैव डन वेरी वेल फॉर टुडेज प्रेजेंटेशन, सो यू गुड। आपको क्लास के बाद अगर मुझसे बात करनी हो तो यू कैन टॉक टू मी, ठीक है? आई हैव ऑलवेज सेड कि मैं अटेंडेंस को ग्रेड नहीं करती, आई ग्रेड क्लास पार्टिसिपेशन, एंड आई थिंक योर क्लास पार्टिसिपेशन वाज ऑलवेज वेरी गुड, ठीक है?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
हारिस खान।
So my presentation is about for the first question, digital identity. So it's about Sophia, our robot. So Sophia is a machine with the presence of an old woman. She is like mature. It's been
सुनाई दे
19th April 2015.
What you can do कि आप सोफिया के जो basic features हैं, because I think a number of people have described her key features, जो कि आज भी इसने एंड्रू डेविडसन ने भी किया और उसके बाद रुमेसा ने भी किया। So basically जो आपके ideas हैं that speak about your own self and Sophia, so I suggest you can directly goes to those points where we can discuss comparison, क्योंकि यहाँ पे वो information है on these pages that everybody has heard a few times. So I think कि we can quickly go to जो आप दोनों का comparison है या difference है।
So what basically is defined is the term may likewise be applied to any machine that shows practices related with the human brain, for example, learning and critical thinking. So utilizations, discourse, acknowledgement, innovation from Alphabet, Dot, Inc. Dot, the AI program investigations, discussion, and assess with improving reaction in future. So Sophia duplicates human signals and outward appearances and can respond to specific queries and to make basic decisions and discussions on predefined themes, which human mind can also do. She possesses a fine sense of humor. She could relate with this as she can celebrate her birthday with. At the point when Sorkin inquired as to whether she was glad to be here, she stated, "I am generally cheerful when encircled by and amazing." This shows her sense of humor again in the past video. Afterward, when inquired as to whether there are two sentiments, she had a wide grin and said, "Gracious Hollywood once more," which shows the intellect and the sense of humor of a human mind. She relates with me here as she likewise have a funny bone as me. She's casual, she's not formal. You can talk to her anywhere about anything. I can inform you as to whether I am furious about something or if something has vexed me, she stated, showing some various articulations. Shows that she is trying to manipulate you or indulge in you in a conversation. She can communicate her sentiments, and as I can do. So the conclusion is Sophia is incredibly and she makes a couple of goofs, and near to her looks as an adult, she has a limited learning length. The side effects Sophia has are
I think it is slightly difficult to understand him because of poor internet connection. So if you have any questions about the presentation, so please ask questions now.
Excuse me, ma'am.
जी
I don't really have a question, but I have to comment on the presentation.
जी जी बताइए.
Ma'am, I feel that the presentation was more informative than analytical. And as Rimsha said earlier, that the question demands us to, compare and contrast our digital identity with that of Sophia's. So I feel the comparison was missing in this presentation, but on the basis of information, it was a good presentation. And I came to know about a lot of things which I didn't know uh, before this presentation. So yeah, it was missing the comparison, but it was very good on the basis of information
I'm not missing
All
about
right.
Sophia.
All right. So by information, you mean information about Sophia or any
Yes,
other
ma'am.
information?
Information about Sophia.
All right, because I believe he's talking about Sophia's emotions in these presentations generally, and Sophia's socialization as well. यहाँ पे he mentioned artificial intelligence, etc. So basically, your point is कि comparison is a bit low, लेकिन apart from that, information is good,
Exactly,
right?
ma'am.
मिस एज साइम मेंशन कि मैंने कंपैरिजन थोड़ा कम किया हुआ है, व्हिच आई एग्री, क्योंकि स्लाइड्स काफी ज्यादा बन रही, तो मैंने सिर्फ तीन चार पॉइंट्स में कंपैरिजन किया हुआ है अपने साथ, उसके सेंटिमेंट्स के साथ, उसका रिएक्शन टाइम के साथ, सोफियाज रिएक्शन टाइम एंड आई नॉर्मल एवरेज ह्यूमन माइंड, उसकी लर्निंग के साथ, उसकी डिजिटल आइडेंटिटी के साथ.
ओके, सो आपको लग रहा है कि लर्निंग एंड डिजिटल आइडेंटिटी का जो कंपैरिजन है दैट इज सफिशिएंट, दैट्स फाइन. अच्छा, मुझे ये बताइए कि आपने व्हाट सॉर्ट ऑफ लिटरेचर हैव यू यूज्ड हियर? क्योंकि साइम ने तो अभी आपको काफी सपोर्ट किया फॉर वट एवर यू हैव रिटन हियर. ही थिंक्स के इंफॉर्मेशन इज गुड. लिटरेचर को आई वुड सजेस्ट कि आप लिटरेचर को आप ऐड करें, बिकॉज आई कैन सी के बस साइटेशंस जहाँ पे आप फॉर इंस्टेंस अगर आपने AI प्रोग्राम पे या यूटिलाइजेशन डिस्कोर्स एक्नॉलेजमेंट जो है ये चीजें ली हैं. I could read words in people's presentations that were not explained well, right? For example, अगर आपने यहाँ पे discourse कहा, तो I believe somebody else, perhaps Hamid Nazar, mentioned singularity. तो आपसे मैं सिर्फ ये कहूँगी कि when you use certain words, these words have very specific meaning in academia. For example, discourse has a specific meaning, and when Nazar mentioned singularity also has a specific meaning, right? तो उस वक्त मैंने आप दोनों को ये नहीं कहा कि इस वर्ड को एक्सप्लेन करें, बट यू मस्ट नो कि आप एकेडेमिया के अंदर जब भी ये वर्ड्स इस्तेमाल करेंगे, दीज वर्ड्स हैव वेरी स्पेसिफिक मीनिंग्स एंड दोज मीनिंग्स आर जनरली अंडरस्टूड बाय द एकेडमिक कम्युनिटी, राइट? तो रीडर्स जो हैं, जो एकेडेमिया के या स्कॉलर्स हैं, दे नो व्हाट सिंगुलैरिटी मीन्स, दे नो व्हाट डिस्कोर्स मीन्स. So I would suggest कि in future when you are using these kinds of words, be careful about the usage of the words, because the words have specific meanings, और उन वर्ड्स को उनके मीनिंग से बाहर हम इस्तेमाल नहीं कर सकते, राइट? कोई स्पेसिफिक सीन कभी कभार मेंशन कर देते हैं. आई बीन टेलिंग ऑलमोस्ट एवरीबडी कि सीन जरूर पिक किया करें फॉर कंपैरिजन पर्पसेस एंड फॉर डिस्कशन पर्पसेस, तो उससे चीज़ें ज़रा अच्छी तरह एक्सप्लेन हो जाती हैं. और सम सॉर्ट ऑफ इमेज इफ नॉट सीन, राइट? तो हमें जो सीन हम सब लोग बार बार देख चुके हैं, वो बार बार दिखाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. फॉर पीपल हु हैव नॉट प्रेजेंटेड सो फार, उनको आई वुड इंसिस्ट कि नेक्स्ट टाइम इफ एनीबडी इज टॉकिंग अबाउट सोफिया, प्लीज़ कोशिश करें कि जो पॉइंट्स बाकी लोग प्रेजेंट कर चुके हैं, आप प्रेजेंटेशन को वहां से स्टार्ट करने के बजाय उसको सिर्फ 2-3 लाइनों में समराइज कर दें, राइट? इफ यू आर सेइंग कि सोफिया इज अ ह्यूमनॉइड वगैरह वगैरह, एंड व्हेन शी वाज बोर्न, दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन ऑलमोस्ट एवरीबडी नोज इन दिस क्लासरूम बाय नाउ. तो आपका जो अपना ऐसे था या पेपर था, मिड टर्म पेपर, इट हैड टू बी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम एनीबडी एल्सेस पेपर. तो फोकस फ्यूचर प्रेजेंटेशन में रखें उन पॉइंट्स पे that are talking about difference between your paper and another student's paper. राइट? तो आई वुड सजेस्ट कि जिन्होंने अभी तक प्रेजेंट नहीं किया है, नेक्स्ट टाइम स्टार्ट योर प्रेजेंटेशन फ्रॉम अ पॉइंट विच इज डिफरेंट. सो और बाकी जो कॉमनैलिटीज हैं उनको बिल्कुल स्टार्ट में एक दो लाइनों में मेंशन कर दें एंड दैट शुड सफाइस. ठीक है? मेक श्योर कि पर्सनल वॉइस बहुत क्लियर हो.
Miss, I wanted to ask, after listening to like everybody's feedback, I've realized that like there are some things that I need to fix in my presentation, and if I were to do that before I present, is that possible?
हाँ हाँ, अगर आपने अभी तक प्रेजेंट नहीं किया तो बेशक उसको अपडेट कर दें.
Okay,
ठीक है?
thank you.
Okay. All right. I think we are done for today. We are doing well. I think generally most presentations were very good today. सिर्फ एक presentation थोड़ा weak थी and I suggest कि Andrew works on it. Or I think rest of them I thought they were good presentations, very good presentations in fact. Okay. All right. Thank you.